Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to this live webinar. It is brought to you in association between Property Tribes and our friends and partners at Lendlord. And we are absolutely delighted to have a special guest joining us this evening, a very good friend of mine and very renowned property developer, Mr. John Howard. John, always great to see you and to welcome you back to the PT Cross Lendlord webinar. So how are you doing?
I'm absolutely fine. I'm absolutely delighted to be with you tonight, and I'm glad to see so many people on the call as well. So that's absolutely great. Such a lovely sunny evening in Suffolk. So I'm not sure how many from Suffolk are on the call, but certainly it's a pleasure to see so many people.
And of course, we're joined also by Aviram from over there in Tel Aviv. I always feel like I'm on the Eurovision Song Contest when I say that. Well, Aviram is joining us, the CEO and co-founder of Lendlord, of course. And tonight we are talking specifically about buy to sell and the use of bridging finance. And obviously they work very, very, close hand in hand together. We're going to be looking at the enhanced Lendlord buy to sell deal analyzer. But John, I was just thinking if I could come to you first for a kind of overview of buy to sell or flipping, as some people call it.
Yes.
It's a very interesting strategy, and I think in the current market conditions where we've got unprecedented capital growth and properties selling within hours of coming online and so on, it's a really interesting strategy, and we can take advantage of this quickly rising market.
Yes, you can, Vanessa, but I have to say, a quickly rising market is always a dangerous thing to be involved in. And I think you've only got to look to September, October time when furlough finishes. An MP I was talking to the other day said the government have worked out just in Norfolk and Suffolk alone, from September this year to September next year, there'll be over 100,000 more bankruptcies. So, that's a word of warning there. Nothing lasts forever. And this market is incredibly hot at the moment. I've surprised everyone. Especially the London market, I think, really surprised me. But it's going to slow down. And for a lot of people, sometimes you're just best to sit back and wait. Remember, it's not the amount of deals you do, it's the quality of those deals. And, you can do 10 deals a year and make nothing or lose money, and you can do one deal and make money. So if the deal is there, do it without question. And a bit of inflation's never done anybody harm in the property industry. But please be careful, because you don't want to get caught up in paying too much for the house or flat or whatever you're buying.
Indeed, it sounds like, as you say, there is a window of opportunity, and that window could start to close as the stamp duty kind of tapers off.
Absolutely.
So I think we're talking about the need for speed, really, and that's where the Lendlord Deal Analyser combined with Lendlord's own bridging product really come into their own, because you can assess the deal very, very quickly. You can get your bridging finance set up very, very quickly. And Avram, that's really why we're excited to talk about buy to sell with the background of the deal analyzer and the online bridging that you can get directly from the Lendlord platform. In a way, it does give you an edge, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. So first, the buy to sell analyzer is like an addition to our rental analyzer. And yes, it's like basically when you use the analyzer, you see it like once we demo it, you can take many things into consideration before basically put an offer on the deal. And it can be many things to mitigate the risk, to understand what will be your return, and also to take a look on the long term. And the loan size, I think it's very important to understand which finance can be a good option for you. And if you play also with the ratio between the cash investment to the loan, and you can see the changes. So now in the new version, we basically integrated the bridging option to the flip analyzer. For the rental, we have the buy-to-let mortgages already integrated. So now we have the bridging integrated to the flip analyzer. And of course, you can also do some due diligence on the postcodes to get more information about the area and also about the property. So yeah.
So it's great because the Lendlord Deal Analysers could actually help you determine whether something is going to work best as a buy to sell or a buy and hold. So you can actually do comparisons. You can, check your deals very, very quickly. You can see immediately if something has potential. And, all of these are tools that are going to help you move very swiftly as a property investor. And John, you often talk about being deal ready, having everything at your fingertips, having,
absolutely,
access to finance. These are the things that kind of give you the edge, aren't they?
Absolutely. And by the way, just to say, in our credit committee meeting this morning, with my joint venture fund, we have a credit committee meeting every 2 weeks to agree who we're going to invest, what deals we're going to invest in. And Dane Lomas, who's our property analyzer, was raving about your analyzer. So, which is great news. And he says it's so quick to analyze these deals using that system. So, not only are there, with all due respect to some people on this call, not everyone by any means in the meeting, more amateur investors, but professionals like Dane are using it to analyze deals quickly for us. And we get I'm being offered 20, 30, 40 deals a week. So a lot of those deals, I analyze myself very, very quickly. So it's just not for us for whatever reason, but the rest have to be analyzed. And of course, Dane's finding it, he's like someone with a new toy. So he's raving about it. So that's brilliant. And you're absolutely right. The quicker you can analyze the deal and get back to the agent, because the agent has probably got 10 people to ring, and if you can say, look, give me 10 minutes, I can come back to you on this, which you literally can do with the analyzer, and you get back to before anyone else she's talked to anyone else, and then go and look at it. I mean, quite often I analyze deals before I go, so I don't analyze them after I've been. I analyze them first, see if they work in principle, then I go. So that way I'm not wasting. I just haven't got the time to do it any other way, really.
No, absolutely. I mean, one thing that property investors don't really value perhaps as much as they should do is their own time. And there's absolutely no point in driving 150 miles to view a property if it actually doesn't stack up on paper. So I absolutely agree with you that the first thing to do is to analyze it on paper, see if it's got potential, and then then see if it's worth your time to go and visit it. And John, we have to announce this evening, and it's very, very exciting for Lendlord, that you actually love the Lendlord Deal Analysers so much that you are using them as the official deal analyzer for your upcoming TV program, Property Graduate. And you're looking for your new business partner, a bit like Alan Sugar on The Apprentice, aren't you?
Yes, I am. The only difference is we're investing a lot more money than Alan Sugar does, which is interesting. So, yeah. So basically, as the show goes on, it's 4 episodes, and as the show goes on, the 10 that are left are going to have to analyse a property deal within probably, I think it's an hour or 2 hours. So that's where this property analyzer is going to be so good for them, because they'll be able to do it so much quicker than they would in any other way. So there's no excuses. And we've got Fiona Talbot and we've got Helen Chorley to run them through their paces, if you like, along with myself, to see how good they've analysed these property deals that we're giving them. So it's a great asset to have, and the winner gets to work with me. I'm not offering them a job; they don't get paid, but they do get. I'm going to make £1 million available into a new company that I set up with them, 50-50. And they've got a year in which to find a deal that's good enough to do, and they might have one straight away. It might take them time. As I said, it's not the quantity, it's the quality, and I'll make a further £1 million available should it need developing as well. So at no risk to them. So any risk involved, I'm taking the risk as it's part of a show and part of a program. But of course, going forward, if one deal works together, there's no reason why we can't continue working together in the future.
Indeed. Well, if anybody on this call is interested in finding out more about Property Graduate, we do have a thread on Property Tribes where you can learn more about it. And John would love some PT members to apply to be on the programme. So if that sounds of interest to you, you don't have to have vast amounts of experience. Please do go and check that out. John also has a standalone website, which I believe is propertygraduate.tv, with all the information on it, but it's all on Property Tribes. And Avram, I think the key about the deal analyzers, and we've always said this at Property Tribes, is that numbers never lie. Now, obviously, you've got to put the inputs in correctly and accurately, but if you do, your outputs are going to be truthful representations of the deal, aren't they?
Yes, definitely. So because of that, I think that once we go to the demo, I will show how you see the results and how you store them. And then, as you mentioned, Vanessa, you can compare different properties that you are looking at. So basically, you can manage your pipeline of prospect properties on your landlord account, as well as your existing properties. And you can also do the comparison. So basically, on each metric, you can compare your current prospect properties. So,
and the other thing is, the analyzer doesn't lie. So don't think, and I get a lot of this where people think, well, they're trying to, put a square peg in a round hole. They set their heart on it, and nothing's going to change their mind. They're going to buy it, whatever. And
well, actually, I'm guilty of that. I've
and the analyzer actually is brilliant for that, because basically it says, if you just design something else, Evan, that says it comes up with a flashing light and says, do not do it, do not do it, that will be even better. But I mean, apart from that, it's brilliant.
Well, John, you always say that, one of your kind of golden rules is that some of the best deals that you do are the ones that you actually walk away from.
Sure, absolutely. There's a few over 40 years I wish I had walked away from as well, by the way. So,
but,
yeah.
If you did do them, they could financially corrupt you. So absolutely. Knowing when to walk away. We'll come to the demo in just a moment, but one last question for you, John, before we go into the demo. Buy to sell comes in many different permutations. You can buy a property from an estate agent and do a bit of work and sell it on. You could buy a property in an auction and then flip it straight into another auction and see if you can achieve a margin. You could buy a property at auction and then sell it at retail. There's so many different ways of doing it, and
permutations.
You're looking for that margin. You want to know that it is going to be profitable and worthwhile of your time. But I think it's good to think outside of the box sometimes and not just do kind of standard formats for this. Are you doing anything at the moment that's slightly unusual? I just wanted to share, actually. I can't remember where I read it earlier this week, but a gentleman went to an auction for the first time. He had a few sherries in the bar and went into the auction room and a little bit tipsy and started waving his hand around. He thought it was funny, and he ended up buying a property. Didn't know what he was doing at all. He immediately put it into auction the following week, and I think he achieved something like a 20k improvement on the price that he paid. So I think he was very, very lucky, and it's not very recommended to do that. You have to do your due diligence. But are you doing anything interesting at the moment in buy to sell?
Well, so what I would say, that's Russian roulette, and that's only, if you're going to do that, buy a lottery ticket. That's very, 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 very dangerous game to play. So at the moment, I shouldn't really be telling everyone, of course, Vanessa, because of course everyone's going to hope. Some people might actually take me seriously and go out and do the same thing, and then I've got more competition. But at the moment, there's a lot of nursing homes coming on the market, and these make great blocks of flats. They make good HMOs. You can split them vertically sometimes into 2 or 3, 4 different, 4 houses. So I just looked at another one today, actually, in Suffolk. But so I bought one just after Christmas, and I've been offered numerous others across the UK, and we're negotiating on 2 or 3 of them. So, and actually today I've also negotiated on a piece of land in Scotland. First time ever that I'm buying over the border. which is,
wow.
and of course the rules are different. So it's really good. So it's a lovely site overlooking the sea with the mountains in the background. A fabulous site for 16. Hopefully we're going to get planning for 16, 18 flats. It did have planning and the planning has lapsed. So that's another great angle. If you can buy a development where the planning has lapsed, so that value is gone, if you like, but you can get it back again, retrieve it, that's really exciting.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that, John. That is
Fingers
exciting.
crossed.
I mean, when you're buying a project, do you know the intended outcome for it, or do you wait till you've bought it, done whatever you know, developed it if you wanted to do that, and then decide whether to keep it or sell it on? Are you quite flexible, or do you automatically know the outcome?
No, I'm not flexible at all. I like to have at least 3 different options. So 2 or 3 options. So you take the land in Scotland, you know, I can buy, I can get planning on it, sell it with planning. I could do a joint venture with one of the people who want to joint venture with me on it, potentially, especially if they live in Scotland. Or I can develop myself and sell them off individually, or I could develop it and sell the whole lot to one investor, or I could sell half of them and keep half and do it that way. So I've got 5 different options probably. Yeah,
and keep one for yourself so you can go up there for the weekend.
Well, and if you're doing flats, by the way, try and make sure they've got balconies. Really important these days. If you can give them a balcony of any sort, that's worth good money.
Yeah, very much so. Priorities are changing. People do want some outside space. So Avram, if we could come to you now, you are going to demonstrate the buy to sell deal analyzer for us, and also show how it integrates with the online bridging application process within the Lendlord platform.
Yes. So let's start with the demo. For users that they don't have already a Lendlord account, if you want to do it with me, just go to the link that Nick shared on the chat, create a free account, and you can start analyzing new property deals. So the way to access the deal analyzer is either from your dashboard, you can click on Analyze New Deal, or from the menu, go to the Deal Analyzer. And you don't need to put any other information into the platform. You can start analyzing deals even if you just created your account. So click on the Deal Analyzer. So here basically you will get the rental deal analyzer, and we have Vanessa can share on Property Tribes tomorrow many videos on the rental deal analyzer. This webinar we will focus on the flip analyzer, but in general the rental basically is buy to let. So basically you purchase the property, you can estimate the entire purchase cost, how much cash investment you need to put, the loan amount, the operating cost, the monthly operating cost, some long-term assumptions, and you can get your metrics. In order to start analyzing new flip deals or buy to sell deals, we just need to click on the blue link, Flip Analyzer, and start with typing the address. Then you will see some metrics already because we put some default. So you can ignore them and just start to override the values. The first box is the purchase details. So you need to put the purchase price. So basically the price that you are going to offer. Now, if you need any indication on the price, you can use, we have an API to property data. So you can put the property type, the construction period, the size of the property, now in meters, by the way, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, what is the interior finish quality, if there is an outdoor space and parking spaces. Click estimate, and you will receive an indication. I think I choose like very expensive area. So I can either use it by clicking update value, or I can click on the X and use my estimation. The second field is the stamp duty. So we calculate it, but of course you can override this field. Then we will go to the BFAP cost. Click on advanced if you want to see the breakdown. So here I recommend to be conservative, put the budget that you are going to put on refurbishment, how much you're going, if you want to put some furnishing or not, you can put it empty, and any other costs that you predict. Our users know that we welcome feedback. So if you use the platform and you think that we need to add any detail on the cost, just use the chat bot here and send us the feedback. We usually reply very fast. Click save and then start to fill in the closing cost of the deal, how much you're going to put in legal, if there is an inspection costs, and put some buffer on other closing costs. So then you have the purchase details ready. The next box is the cash investment. So here basically you can play with how much you would need or how much you want to put in cash. I would recommend before going to this area box, cash investment, let's define the sale details. So what will be your exit after you finish with the project, after you did the refurbishment? So what is going to be the ARV? What basically is the price after you invested and you basically did the refurbishment? So for the instance, we can put, let's say 160. If you're going to use an agent to sell the property, you can put the commission. And if you have any other expected sale costs, you can put it here. And what is going to be the length of the project? So I will put here 6 months, and then after that, we'll see like how it can impact your metrics as well. So then I go to the cash investment. So we put 60% as a default, but pay attention. So the cash investment also in the rental deal analyzer is out of the entire purchase cost. So basically, this should fund also your refurbishment. The loan is on the purchase price. So most lenders will calculate the loan to value based on the purchase price. Usually is up to 75%. So here, if I will take 60% of the project in cash, I will need to put 54%. My loan to value will be 54%. Let's take it just like to the maximum. You can see that if I put 75%, then of course I can put less cash, but I can basically also take a look on the metrics. So how it impacts the profitability of the project. So let's put, if I put 50%, then I need to take a loan of 45K. Then you can play with the interest rate. So if I take a bridging finance, I have like usually a monthly interest rate. So let's play with that. And this is like the new thing. So once you start to play with the interest rate, you will see if there is a chance to get a better rate using Lendlord online bridging lender. And if so, you will see how much basically you can save and what is going to be your rate. And we will show it like in a sec, like if you want to get more accurate quote, and the rate might be even lower with some parameters. So let's say if you are like an experienced landlord, we also take into account other income and things like that. So basically, you can also be eligible to a better rate than what you see here. You can see like the total interest for the entire period, the arrangement fee, and you can of course change that based on the offer that you have from the lender. And if you have any other fees, you can also include them here. Then if during the project, you will have some extra monthly costs, you can also put them. I also recommend here to put some buffers just to be on the safe side. Then let's come back to the sale details. And you can see already I have all the time the metrics on the top of the page. See the gross profit, the net profit, basically we take out the sale costs. What we are like ROI, the return on investment, how much cash you need to put, what is the loan cost. So loan cost basically is how much I need to pay in interest rates and fees. And then you can see that if I change now the length of the project, you can see that the loan cost will be higher, because then I need to pay more interest rate. And it will, of course, affect the profitability. Of course, any parameter will change. If I say if I think that I will sell it only in 155, it's also impact the profitability. So this is it. It's quite simple just to analyze the project. You can play with any parameter. You can see how it impacts the profitability. Where is the sweet spot for you to invest in terms of the balance between cash and debt. And here as well, you can get estimations and also deep dive into the postcode. So if you want to get more information about the postcode, click on postcode information. You will have the postcode, and then we use the APR property data to get some metrics and some extra information about the area. So you can see the 5-year capital growth. This data will help you when you come back to the analyzer to put better assumptions. You can see the 5-year capital growth, the property demand in this area, some analytics on crime in this postcode. So also you can see the types of the crime with numbers, the rental demand of this postcode, price per square foot, some demographic charts in terms of politics, age distribution, commute method, and some information about schools in this area. This is perhaps also relevant, of course, to the rental deal analyzer. So if you want to let this property after that, rental demand is important, schools in the area, commute method, things like that. So of course, it's available for all postcodes. It's available also for your existing properties.
Abraham, I was just going to jump in there, and I'm sure John will agree with me that the holding period slider there is so interesting to show how speed is of the essence if you are doing a straight buy, refurbish, sell, because typically, as we know, if you're using bridging finance, it is more expensive. The longer a project drags on, the more it's biting into your profit, isn't it, John? So do you try to kind of get in and out pretty quickly, don't you?
Unmute. So
I think that little slider would encourage you to get out quickly.
without question, it's really important to be really organized. So once you complete, you're ready to go. You're ready to get the builders in the next day and everything else. It's so important to be organized and disciplined. But also, I would always, even on the simple house, flip, if you like, I'd add 3 months onto longer than you think. Because realistically, if the sale falls through, another sale's probably going to take another 3 months to complete. But a few tricks there, before you put it on the market, get a sales pack done with your solicitor, with a search in it and everything, so that when you find a buyer, all the inquiries are answered, the contract's already done. So the solicitors, all they've got to do is get it out next day to the purchasing solicitor. Very important to be organised.
That's a very good tip. And you can also, I know one thing that you do, John, obviously with your new builds, which you could do with buy to sell, is get some graphical representations done as well of what it could look like when it's finished. You could start marketing it a little bit earlier if you did that. But it does really show that you need to be in and out very, very quickly. The longer that you've got the bridging finance, the more it's going to bite into your profit. And I think the other thing that Aviram mentioned was contingency. And again, John, you've just created a video on that topic with your business colleague and Property Summits partner, Nicholas Walwark, talking about how important contingency is, because you know, something will always pop up that you weren't quite expecting.
Yeah, I think you need 10% on a conversion and 5% on a new build. Now, a lot of banks want 10% on a new build, but I don't think 10% on a new build is required, because with a new build, you should know exactly what you're going to spend. There's no hidden extras, really. There shouldn't be any hidden extras. So with a new build, it's a lot easier to price. So I think with a new build, 5% is enough. You might need to show 10% for the bank, but from your own point of view, 5% should be adequate, but definitely 10% for a normal conversion. And if it's a listed building, I allow 15%.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very interesting. John, just, you know, just before we go back to Avram, we're hearing on Property Tribes and in the media about shortage of building materials.
Yes.
Everywhere's sold out. Are you experiencing, you know, difficulties getting hold of building materials? And it can impact on a project quite significantly, can't it?
Absolutely. I've got a friend of mine who's imports timber, and he says it's gone up just under 100% in a year, which is just remarkable. And what we're doing, we're adding 15% on to our material costs for every job. So even we get a price on it, we're adding 15%, because a lot of these builders on the bigger contracts will have a clause that says, you know, if the materials go up, they can charge more. So be careful with that. But it's so important to appreciate that these build costs are just going through the roof at the moment.
And that will presumably impact on property prices as well.
Well, they say it does, but of course you can only sell what you can sell it for. So, I mean, you know, if it's a 3-bedroom semi and they go for 225, 250, you're not necessarily going to get 300,000 for it just because you spent more on materials. So it's sometimes you can pass it on and sometimes you can't, Vanessa. So I wouldn't rely on that. That's for sure. I wouldn't rely on that.
I think it's good to highlight that it is an issue at the moment.
Yeah, well, the other thing, sorry, Vanessa, the other thing to remember is that on most jobs, 50% are materials and 50% is labour. Nearly every job, when it comes down to it, it's a bit of a it's a real average, but actually you're never far away from that. So bear that in mind. So at least half the job, you've got to be careful in terms of material, what that might go up to during the period of the job in hand. Yeah.
Yeah, good to be aware of that. Sorry, Avram, I just jumped in there.
Sorry, Avram, we jumped all over you.
I thought it was so important. You know, I do hear of some projects that there's no sense of urgency about them. Very often in kind of joint ventures where one person has put in all the money and the other person is bringing their experience and knowledge, and they, because it's not their money, they're not, you know, not very motivated, and these projects drag on and on and on, and the profit margins go down. So speed is of the essence for buy to sell, for sure. And that little slider there that Avram is demonstrating will hopefully keep you on point and moving forwards, because you can see how it's going to impact your profits if you hang on to the project for longer. Sorry, Avram, where were you going to go next?
Yeah, so the new feature that we've just added is the deal details. Again, it came from free feedback from users. So here, basically, you can, if you want to keep track on some important details on the contact information about the agent, date of viewing, and if you have any link to the property, you can also store it as well. Click Save. Then I will save this deal. I click on Save as Prospect. And then if you want now, from now on, to keep track this deal and either or also compare it to other deals, go to the My Portfolio. If you will see your existing properties here, but you can just use the filter to deselect all properties and select all prospects. So these are all your prospect deals in one table, and you can start comparing them on some metrics, and you can switch to the performance view. And here basically you can see, like also for rental properties, of course, you can see what is the expectation, like if you invest for your net cash flow in the next 12 months, the cash on cash, the ROI, and also because you can also put predictions to future, you can see what will be your 10 years equity, 10 year ROI, of course the cap rate, the equity multiple, all of these important metrics.
Yeah, we were just going to say, Avram, that if people want to dig a little bit deeper on what all these metrics are, we do have another webinar with that we recorded with Brian Spar, who was the US broker who helped Avram create the deal analyzer, and he went through all the different metrics and what they all mean and how to interpret them. So when I post this video tomorrow to Property Tribes, the recording of this webinar, I will add the link to Brian explaining all the different metrics, because certainly from my perspective, I actually don't do buy to sell myself. I'm just a bog standard buy to let investor. But from my perspective, there were some of the metrics that I'd not heard of, that I didn't understand their relevance. So this is going into quite deep detail, isn't it, Avram? And again, having this understanding, this knowledge, all these different metrics at your fingertips, you're going to be able to make far more informed decisions than somebody that doesn't have access to this.
Yes, definitely. And we will share like the video so you can basically learn more, and perhaps we can do like an hour webinar on that. And of course, you can compare these metrics across different properties. The new view that I wanted to present is also the deal details. So basically, once you store the agent information, the date of view, and the links, you can also see them on your My Portfolio. And I think, Vanessa, perhaps now we can do like 5 minutes on the bridging lender. And then
just a couple of questions for you, Avram. Are buy to sell sales costs and tax, are they accounted for?
Again, sorry.
Somebody's asking privately if buy to sell sales costs and tax are accounted for. The sales costs are, but I don't think the tax is it?
So the tax is we are not including the tax into the deal analyzer. We will enhance it in the future. We have a different model so you can analyze the potential tax implication on your properties. And we can, basically we can also discuss it in the next webinar, perhaps we can, because we have like other important features that we just released that relate to cash flow and tax.
Yep. And Lucy is trying the deal analyzer on mobile. She's put in a property that they are in the process of buying. It's a 3-bed, but the analyzer is listing it as a 1-bed. She wants to know how to edit it. It is very simple, Lucy. Avram, do you want to do a very quick demo now to just quickly show her, or Lucy can of course go onto the chat on Lendlord itself and also book a personal consult, personal demo if that's what you want to do. But yeah, there's your number of bedrooms there.
Yes, so
you can change that.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to click on the get estimation link and you can change here. And once you click estimate, it will save it. So this is the only, perhaps this is the thing. You need to click estimate, then it stores the detail. So let's see, and then it's stored for a number of bedrooms. And of course, you can also do it from the My Portfolio. Vanessa, I think perhaps we can start just to show the bridging so we have enough time, and then like if we have...
Yeah, and let's just remind everybody that buy to sell is a cash activity. You can't use standard buy to let mortgages for it. If you did, that would be a breach of the terms and conditions of a buy-to-let mortgage. They are long-term financial products. They are not to be used for this activity. You might get away with it once or twice, but you have to be very careful not to be blacklisted. There is something called the Hunter List, which is a shared database by all the lenders. And if they detect any abnormal or irregular or fraudulent activity by a borrower, that you get added to this list, and then that's your property investment career over, because you will be blacklisted from lending. So you need, and John will concur with me on this, you need to have the right financial product for whatever you're doing. And for buy to sell, it is cash and or bridging.
Without question. I mean, some of you might be able to, if you've got a good relationship with your bank, and you want to borrow perhaps a little bit less money, then certainly you know that's the clearing banks. There aren't many that will we'll look at it, I'm sure, even if you are a client. But that would also be an option, and obviously interest rates in a clearing bank will be a lot less than a bridging company would be. Yeah.
So we have an onboarded lender on the Lendlord platform,
yep.
And Avram's going to show us now. You can actually get the indicative terms of the bridging finance that you, with your personal circumstances, can access. And again, Avram, this is very helpful because it could give you a rough bridging loan rate to plug into your deal analyzer, and you know that you were fairly on point with that because it's based on the data that you've already inputted into the Lendlord software. So it recognizes you as an individual in your personal circumstances, so it can be pretty prescriptive.
Yes, and it's also available for, like, if you can start just like from the bridging side of the deal and then go to the analysis, like also vice versa. So I will show like the demo if like from the point of view of the video. So basically we use, like, we took our technology to process like a loan application. So we generate terms, then you can submit application, and then you can also track the application of that on your Lendlord account. I think that we don't have time to go over all the questions, but just I want to show the process. So you have several questions. It's not actually 20 questions, but it takes a few minutes to answer them. And on the right side, you will see what is going to be your interest rate, estimated interest rate. And in the end, you will see the entire indicative terms. So we'll ask you what is the estimated property value, of course, how much you want to take in loan. You can see, of course, the LTV will impact your rate. So you can play with that. The length of the funds. So like you will get like a bit like a reduced rate if you take it for a shorter term. We do offer no early redemption charges, like if you pay back the loan after 3 months. The exit strategy, if you have some minimum income, not from property, it's also it's a benefit. Of course, the address of the property. If you're experienced landlord, we also benefit your rate. And then some questions about your credit. This is before the underwriting that will just verify it. But if this is the case, this will be your indicative terms. The type of the property, when you need the finance, how much you're going to be to do refurbishment. And of course, if it's linked when from the deal analyzer, all of these data should be pre-populated. Are you applying from through a limited company? And then you can receive the indicative terms. So you can see what is going to be your interest rate, what are going to be your fees, the entire cost of the loan. Then the good thing that you can proceed online. So if you are interested to take the loan, you can click proceed, or you can schedule a call with the team before you're proceeding. Click confirm. If you are an existing user, just use your login credentials. If you're a user, you can create a free account. Then on your Lendlord account, you will see your application, and you can basically start the process. So you can see the steps to completion. You can see the inquiry. You can edit the inquiry details. You can upload the relevant documents. If you want to feel more comfortable to schedule a call before you upload documents, just do that. And then you can review the terms at any point. Once you upload the documents, our underwriting team can review them, verify, and then we can be very fast in terms of processing the loan. So this is something that is integrated into Lendlord. So you can also, when you analyze it, you can see what is the finance that is good for you, and also you can apply for it and track the loan application online.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody can appreciate how genius this is, that you can analyze the deals in the same software that you can actually apply for funding. We all know that funding is the lifeblood of your property business. You have to have access to it in order to move yourself forward. And everything is all in one place on one dashboard at Lendlord. And John, you know, you with your 40 years experience in property development, when you started out, these kind of tools, they didn't even exist. In fact, I'm not sure Avaram existed 40 years ago. But
that's lovely. Thank you for reminding me how old I am. Yeah, that's lovely.
What do you think when you see these kind of digital tools?
I just think the market, it's amazing. It's so easy now really to get into property developing compared to what it was, because first of all, you've got thousands of banks willing, small banks willing to lend, and the interest rate on the bridging you're talking about here is very, very competitive, which is great. And you can work, you know, there's no real excuse for making mistakes because it's all there. Press a few buttons and it all comes up, which is, it's just fantastic. And I think for a lot of people, analysing deals is the hardest thing, and this makes it so simple for amateurs and professionals alike. You know, because we all have to start somewhere, and it doesn't matter. You know, we're using it as well as perhaps the first-time investor using it. So that just shows how good it is. And as I said, you've got banks now who are lending, you know, 60-70% of loan to value and all the building costs. And of course, with our joint venture fund, we will put in the money you haven't got. So we'll put in the deposit you haven't got, and the bank put the rest in, and you can joint venture with us virtually with just having to put in the stamp duty and perhaps some solicitors' fees, and that's all. And split the profit 50-50. So, and you get the benefit of our experience to see you through the project as well. So, you know, there is so many options now, and it's very exciting, very exciting.
So John, if somebody came to you, to the John Howard Joint Venture Fund, and they had already populated the Lendlord Deal Analyser and could show you all the key metrics surrounding the proposition, presumably you would look on that very favourably. You would regard it as a professional application.
Absolutely. So we get a number of people who do send us the development appraisal, because that's the first thing we ask for. We need to know, you know, what profit do you think there is in it. Some of the development appraisals are quite good, and others are very poor. And you know, if we could get them all to use this, that would be great, because then we know it's all at a very high level. That may be a bit of a challenge sometimes, but certainly that's what we'd like to try and do. Yeah.
Brilliant. So I'm just mindful of the time now. We're closing this webinar out. John, put you on the spot here. I know you won't flinch from this. If you could say your top 3 tips for buy to sell.
Thanks a lot.
What would they be?
Oh, well, the first thing is don't pay too much. If you make a mistake, and you haven't exchanged contracts, then own up to it and tell them you've made a mistake. Don't just blindly carry on when you know it's wrong. And I can't tell you how many people do that. That's the second thing. And I think when you sell it, be super organised. Like I said, get your solicitor to do what we call a sales pack ready for the buyer. That's really, really important, and make sure that everything is in there, including the certificates for the electric, the gas, and everything else. That's so important to be organised, because that will save you time and money.
No, that's very good advice. I think also, you know, I don't know if you agree, there is an element of it being a numbers game. You know, the more offers you put in, the more chance you have of securing a deal. But if we track that back to the deal analyzer, the more deals you analyse just sitting in your armchair at home without necessarily having to visit the property initially, you know, if you're analysing 40 deals, you're more likely to come up with something than somebody that's analysing 5 deals. Do you see it as a kind of numbers game as well? Are you
totally? The one thing that I say to people is that when you analyse a deal, it's not costing you a penny. Not a penny. And you're learning from each one you analyse. And I get people say to me, oh, I'm frustrated. I've been looking for 9 months. I can't find anything. I said, yeah, but you've learned. Every time you've analysed a deal, you've learned more about it. And, you know, when you've got some of these property educators, and we won't get into that tonight, Vanessa, I know, but who are charging fortunes basically to show you what this wonderful system shows you, charge you thousands to do that. It's madness, when all you need to do is do it yourself and learn as you go. You will need a bit of help and advice, of course we do, but you don't need to be spending thousands and thousands of pounds to get it, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a wonderful point to highlight, John, that it is, you know, free software, and it hasn't got any biases or agendas behind it, so it's just going to give you truthful reporting as long as you put the correct information in the first place. Yeah. Avram, was there anything else you wanted to show us?
No, I think with the demo we did what we wanted to cover. Of course, there are so many things in there, so perhaps we do like another webinar this month. If there are some questions, perhaps we have 5 minutes to answer if someone would. And also, of course, all the new users or new potential users, just use the links to sign up. Create your free account and start to analyze new property deals. Perhaps, Nick, if you can also put the sign up again, the link to sign up to the platform. And you can schedule a call with me if you want a training session. And also, if you want to use a bridging finance, you can use our online lender. So, yeah.
It's a very nice little package, all wrapped up with a bow. You can do it all on one platform. It's all seamless, and obviously because the platform knows your financial position, it can give prescriptive indicative terms to you. And I really hope people will reflect on what we've seen tonight and how powerful it is. I think it'd just be nice to end by saying that we mentioned earlier that the Lendlord Deal Analyser has been chosen as the official deal analyzer of John's new TV show, Property Graduate. Thank you ever so much for your support, John, on that front. We're very excited to be part of your new TV show, and Property Tribes will be going backstage and doing some bits and pieces of filming once it gets underway. And I think the other thing we should mention, John, is we're so excited that Property Summits is back on the 15th of July. An in-person event, which I know we're all so looking forward to after all these.
Yes,
you know,
yes, it's been a long time, and Zoom is great, isn't it? But so yeah, 15th of July, the 5 guys were all there, probably disagreeing with each other on a few things, which is fine, and it's really an event for professionals. By professionals, so professionals in as much that people think professionally about property, about the industry, which it is an industry, and whether they're professionals in other businesses and they want to get into property, or whether they're already in property and want to do more. Yeah, it should be a really interesting and exciting day with lots of speakers, and also a lot of networking. We've allowed a lot of time for people to meet and mingle and so on, which I think, you know, property is all about contacts. It's all about contacts.
Mm. Well, perhaps Nick could be so kind as to put the link to Property Summits information on the chat just as we finish off here. But Avram, Lendlord is going to be at Property Summits as well. We're hoping that you can make it across from Tel Aviv in person. You're going to have a little speaking slot. And John, we may even do some live deal analysing, mightn't we?
That would be fun, wouldn't it? That would be fun if we could arrange that. That would be really good. I'm sure someone will be brave enough to put their deal up there.
Well, I just think it's, as you say, I think it's such a good point that you raised earlier, and I can't thank you enough for it, John, it's about learning as well, because every deal that you don't do, every deal that doesn't come to fruition, that there are lessons to be taken from that and to take forward into your next deals. And one thing I think that is, you know, a trait of all entrepreneurs is that they're hungry for knowledge, they're hungry to learn. I know you, John, you still have a passion to learn new stuff, see new things.
Yeah, I mean, you never stop learning in this property business. There's always something new that comes up. You think, oh, I've never had that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that do come up, and I can help people avoid those problems. But there's always new things, and that's what's exciting about the analyzer and so on. There's always new things to get excited about.
Well, there are. So perhaps we can have a kind of Lendlord Property Tribes JH reunion in person at Property Summits. Hopefully some of the people on this call will pop along as well, and we can all meet up in person and talk about property, which is what we all love. And John, all that remains is for me to thank you very much for being our special guest
Pleasure.
this evening. You always deliver so much value, such great insights, and we, speaking on behalf of Avram as well, we really do appreciate your support of Lendlord. It means a great deal to us to have somebody, with your track record who sees the value in it. So thank you very much. Avram,
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final words from you?
I want just to thank John and thank everyone that joined this webinar, and just feel free to ask any questions on the chat box on Lendlord. And if you want, just schedule this time with me to get more information. So thanks Vanessa for hosting.
Thank you. And we do tend to only scratch the surface on these webinars, actually. These are really just the introduction into the Lendlord platform. There's so many different things that you can do on it to streamline your property business, make it efficient. And as Avram said, you can get in touch via the chatbot. You can book a Calendly session for a one-to-one demo. Avram's on Property Tribes to answer questions. So lots of ways that you can interact with Lendlord and get the most out of the platform. Thank you to everybody for joining us this evening. As Avram said, we're signing off now. Maybe see you at Property Summits, maybe see you on Property Tribes, but we'll definitely see you somewhere down the property trail. Good evening. Thank you for watching.
Okay.